Michael, what is the point then? PS5
Yeah.
Pro may not be enough to push GTA 6 to 60 frames per second, says Digital Foundry. Michael Heritage over at PSU. A recent interview with Digital Foundry's Richard Leadbetter has suggested that the PS5 Pro, even with all of its technical muscle under the hood, may not be enough to run GTA 6 at 60 frames per second. Why? The Digital Foundry technical editor revealed that the issue comes down to the CPU itself, as the PS5 Pro utilizes the same one as its standard counterpart. Well, then that seems like just a mistake right there, doesn't it?
Yep.
Grand Theft Auto games have always run complex simulations that push the CPU hard, which is why every GTA game has initially launched on their target platforms at 30 frames per second or lower. The PS5 Pro uses the same CPU as the PS5, and it would be extremely challenging to hit 60 frames per second if the base PS5 version is targeting 30 frames per second. This isn't a GPU problem, it's a CPU problem. Of course, all bets are off if Rockstar is targeting 60 frames per second on the standard PS5, but we've seen no evidence so far to suggest it. Michael, I'm confused. Then why do we then need a PS5 Pro? Or, like we talked about, dude, it's really for the hardcore. You just want to see things a lot prettier. And not even a lot prettier, just a little bit more crisp, I would say, actually.
Yeah. This seems like we were just talking about before we started. This seems like either Rockstar didn't want to, or Sony and Rockstar couldn't come to an agreement. Because to me, this feels like you had to work with Rockstar and say, hey, give us something, right? Give us some kind of pre-build. Maybe only we'll only let 2 or 3 people see it, but you needed to make sure that GTA 6 ran well on your console. It needs to run better than Xbox. It needs to run better than the base PS5, right? Like, that's the whole point, because otherwise it's like, let's just take the $700, let's put it into a PC that's probably going to be able to run GTA 6 when it comes out in a year or so on PC at 60 FPS or even more, and just play the normal GTA 6 on your base console right now. Because, yeah, this seems like, what is the point unless you're a hardcore? And even then, it's like, from all the games we saw, Drew, it's like, you can play games you've already beat, and this window might look a little bit more realistic than the first time you played the game, or you might get a little bit more FPS. Yeah, this seems... If this is true, this seems like there's just no reason to buy a PS5 Pro, right? This $700, not even able to run the biggest game of next year and maybe the next decade, because we saw how long GTA 5 has been out, at 60 FPS? Just save your money for the 6th generation at this point, and then go back and play GTA 6.
Well, I think that's really it. When we finally get to PS6, is that when we're finally going to have a native 60 frames per second, right? Mark Cerny, in his whole technical PS5 Pro reveal, said some games are running at 120, some games are running at 60. I'm like, man, I don't know about that, right? Like, they technically could, I guess, but it's not something that's standardized.
Yeah.
And it really comes down to the way they phrase it, though. Like, it's very PR-ish, right? It can run at 60 frames. It can run at 120 frames. But yet we give that to the developers to handle. I'm like, come on now. So really, the capability is maybe possibly there, but when you get into Digital Foundry and you listen to Richard's actual discussion on it, dude, it sounds like it's a struggle, right? I don't think we're going to be pushing 60 frames per second on what is essentially going to be one of the biggest games of the generation. So that's a problem. Why would I even bother then upgrading if I'm not going to be... It is going to look prettier, dude. Like, if you're in there for the graphics like I am, I would love to have one, obviously. I think a lot of us would. But it comes down to $1,000. Is it going to be that much more significant to see that run on my TV, which isn't even capable of some HDR? Like, it's just ridiculous. At this point now, I need to not only upgrade to the PS5 Pro, but I got to upgrade my TV. Right? So there's that side of it as well. And I'm not even gonna get 60 frames per second anyways. So then what's the point? Dude, the expense isn't worth it to me right now. When my PS5 dies, then I'm in for the Pro, right? Like, that's really what it comes down to. But I know there's a lot of hardcore fans out there as well looking for that more enhanced version, slightly enhanced version. We saw the breakdown over it, and yeah, granted, we saw it over YouTube, so it's not exactly crystal clear with what we can see. Dude, my wife's got a TV that's absolutely incredible. maybe I'll just swap over to hers, right? There's one of those things. Maybe if it does that, maybe I just go over to her TV. It's like, whoa, look at this. But for now, I'm like, man, is it really worth it? That's the biggest thing. They should have partnered with Rockstar and said, hey, yo, we've got the biggest game coming at 60 frames per second, guaranteed on the PS5 Pro. This is why you won't.